Hello, my beautiful people. I wanted to talk to you about spiritual awakening and what it actually means to be more in touch with spirit, to awaken to the truth, the deepest, biggest truth of who you are when it comes to this spiritual awakening process and how to navigate this, because I personally have been through this. It was about 6 years ago where I had a really big awakening, and there have been a little ones before that, and then some after, and then recently a couple bigger ones as well. It's not just one awakening that we go through in our life, but it's multiple, and there's different levels, and this is really just expanding consciousness and understanding ourselves, reality, who we are at just a completely different level, that it kind of blows your mind. And for me personally, when I first went through my biggest awakening, I actually moved down to Florida to be in the sunshine in the middle of winter, because I'm from New York, but I was actually living in New Hampshire at the time. And it was a dark and cold winter, and I'm like, I have seasonal depression, so I'm gonna go down to Florida where my sister just moved. She's pregnant, she's about to have a baby, and I wanted to be there for her and for my niece. And I figured this was a great opportunity to get out of this seasonal depression. And turns out, and just to back up a little bit, before I left, I got fired from my job. And that was kind of the beginning of my awakening, because when I entered that workplace, it was like my body was giving me the sensation that I shouldn't be there anymore. And because I ignored that sensation, I ended up getting fired. And it's funny because I got fired for being a negative, toxic person in the workplace, which is it baffled me, because I'm like, what? That's like the opposite of who I am. I don't understand. And I get it now. It's because my energy was actually exuding this feeling of like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. And that seeped out into the place that I was working. And my manager picked up on that. People I worked with picked up on it. And it just ended up exploding in my face. And it was a blessing, of course, because it allowed me to move on, to literally move down south. And so anyways, I moved down to Florida, and I remember the very first day that I woke up in Florida, I had this overwhelming feeling of sadness, of depression, of what the fuck? Because it was the most beautiful weather. It was in February. It was like the most perfect, ideal weather that you could, like, I could write it down exactly what I would want every single day for weather. And that was it. And it was funny because I was escaping seasonal depression, yet I felt even worse when I entered Florida. And it was the very first day, and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Like, how is this my life? Like, what? It was just this beginning of an awakening, because it felt like I was just questioning my life. And so it was really interesting because I moved down there for my sister and for my niece, and pretty soon after, they actually moved away. And so that sent me to live with my dad. Mind you, I don't know, 29, 30 at this point. And I live with my dad. It's just him and I in this very small apartment. And I'm working as a server at a restaurant. And when I was living with my dad is when I had the biggest awakening, which was really the biggest depression that I've ever felt in my entire life. I remember feeling like I don't know who I am, what I'm doing, why I'm here, like on earth, and it with my dad, and just like the micro, the macro, everything. I remember going into work and telling someone, it feels like my mind and my body and my soul are just completely scattered. It felt like I was off center. It felt like I was so depressed, and I had a week or two where I had to call out of work because I was crying so badly. I couldn't get out of bed. And I just remember getting my journal out and like scribbling. I'm like trying to save like there was a part of me that was like trying to save myself. And it felt like a bit of an angelic presence coming through that was like, it's okay, you're gonna get through this. And so that was the start of my awakening. And I'm wondering if you can relate to, please let me know in the comments. If you want to explain like what your very first awakening felt like, if it also felt very depressing, and maybe you're going through that now. I don't know where you are in your journey, but whenever you're watching this, I just want to let you know that you're not alone. And this is a process of actual expansion that first feels like a depression and like falling into yourself to be like, what is this? What is this? Who am I? And it's necessary to go through this and to feel the extreme difference of the extreme polarity, the polar opposite of enlightenment, if you will, which is really just expanding consciousness and really being in touch. But anyways, we'll get to that. So I remember recording myself. I think I still have those videos. I don't know why, but I was just like, I feel like I need to talk about this. And I just was recording myself. I didn't share it at all. Like I did not share this, but it was for myself. It was like a journal, a live journal of me just basically snotting, crying, and just being like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just feeling so sad, so depressed. And it was a bit of time that I had to like help myself through. And I remember being like, I need a therapist, but I had no money. And so I just felt very limited in resources. And again, living with my dad, where I'm like, don't talk to me, like, don't ask me what's wrong. Like, I can't. And so through this process, I ended up I was on social media at the time. Like I've loved Instagram for so long. And so it was Manifestation Babe, Catherine Zenkina. That was actually a big part of my breakthrough of the depression into the actual awakening. Her and James Wedmore. And he does this program called Business by Design. And they kind of partnered up, and I heard about him through her. And they became my like mom and dad through my awakening process, because they're both very spiritual, talking about manifesting the life of your dreams, talking a lot about like spiritual awakenings and expanding your gifts and using them in a way to serve the world. And so through this process of literally just like leveling myself out energetically, my nervous system, just like getting it to a place where I can actually like go to work and talk about this. And I had very dark, I remember being like, I had very dark humor at the time, but it was very like, I had to say these dark things about death and just very dark stuff coming through me that I would say to my coworkers, and they'd be like, what are you talking about? I remember like just needing to say these things that were alchemizing through me. Like there was darkness, because when we expand our consciousness, I'm feeling my heart chakra right now. When we expand our consciousness, it's not just I am love and I am light, because clearly I was in this deep dark depression, because for the majority of my life I'm very positive, and people are like, why are you so like, how are you so positive and so happy? And it was almost a facade, but it is really who I am. Like I'm a very happy person. I'm bubbly, I'm outgoing, I love people. I'm an extrovert. I get energy from speaking with other people, from going live and doing all of this stuff online. And so this darkness actually had to come through me in order for me to awaken to the place of incorporating my darkness within me. And I'm feeling the tingles like in my hands and my wrists. And these feelings really are confirmation for what I'm saying right now, as far as awakening goes and incorporating your darkness into basically your light body, into your entire being. Because if we're living a life of rainbows, butterflies. My childhood was great. And it really was. Like, I had a pretty decent life, and there was lots of ups and downs, a little bit here and there. I guess the biggest thing that happened, that was the darkest thing, was my cat dying at the age of 4. That was really hard for me. And so there was like little bits, like glimpses of the darkness, glimpses of depression, that I experienced, but not for an extended period of time, not like I experienced when I moved to Florida. And so having this experience allowed me to really tap into my darkness, because we all have darkness. We're not just light. We're not just love and light. Like, God is dark and light. It's positive and negative. It's everything. And so to be enlightened, if you will, which most people don't reach a state of enlightenment here on earth, but as we go into this path of expanding our consciousness, it is really just incorporating more aspects of ourself. It's really seeing things out in the world and not being like, oh God, and judging everything that's out there, and really like allowing yourself to use it as a reflection. And that's been, it's 11:11 as I look up. Ah! I love it, Spirit, thank you. All the confirmations. It's really allowing yourself to be the conduit here on earth. And when you understand like who you really are, which is a piece of source energy of where we came from, like we all came from the same source, which you can call, I mean, people use God, we can use universe, you know, you can kind of use whatever verbiage you want. It's really more about the understanding that you have of yourself, of, okay, this life is more than just the personality of Cassandra. I'm more than just Cassie. Like, I'm more than just Cassie. I'm more than just a tarot reader. I'm more than just a channeler. I'm more than just a sister. I'm more than just a daughter. And people tend to get caught up in these identities, which actually pulls us away from the truth when we're really caught up in certain identities of, I'm this, so I need to be that, right? Like, I am a mom, so I have to do this, and this, and make sure I look like this, and be sure I'm not seen like that. And again, that's when your identity actually can pull you away from the truth of who you are, the core of who you are. And so there's nothing wrong with identifying as a mom, of course, but we don't want to get caught up, and that's just an example, in certain identities, because when we do, we should all over ourselves. We give ourselves limitations through the ego of needing to be seen in a certain way, needing to be witnessed in a certain way. And so that's something that I've worked on a lot, is kind of not stripping away my identities, but just looking at them and being like, you know, why do I feel like I need to say this or not say this, or like it's this limitation. I'm seeing a bunny. And that's what hurts the most, is feeling limitation, but not knowing where that limitation is coming from. It's being born into this matrix, this world, this earth, this society, this system that actually almost automatically puts limitations on you, unless you're living off grid and you're like, don't have a birth certificate and you're totally like out of the system, which you're probably in the system if you're watching this right now on YouTube. So when we're living in the system, it's a matter of, that's actually another awakening that I had, was the food industry and like the government, the, you know, 2020, what happened then? Like, that was huge. That was another layer of awakening for me, of like, whoa, wait a minute. There is so much coming into our consciousness constantly with our consumption of social media, the media in general, especially the news, that is literally brainwashing us. And so waking up to that was like another level, because at first it was just me being depressed, being like, where am I? Who am I? And then it was that macro level of like, whoa, the world needs to wake up now. And so first it was very 3D of like, who am I? What am I? And then it was 4D, which is very much information overload for me. Like, I was diving into rabbit holes, watching documentaries, like about Epstein and all of like this stuff, like sex trafficking and the food industry, and how certain foods in Europe are ingredients are banned, but here it's just flooded into our food. And it's not just Europe, it's just, I mean, there's so much that's going on all over the world. And so waking up to that big macro level of like, whoa, we're being manipulated like crazy every single day. This is wild. I ended up going down rabbit holes, and it almost gave me that feeling of depression again, of like, what are we doing here? At first it was like, who am I? And then the next layer was like, why is this happening? There's evil. Because being in touch with my darkness allowed me to see the darkness outside of me. So there's this ripple effect that happens when you start to awaken, and that's why these layers start peeling back, and you just start seeing more and more and more, and you can really get lost in the 4D, which is very much, whoa, this is wrong, this is bad. And that is still in that judgmental space, which is not the 5D. The 5D is unconditional love. And I'm using these terms, some people use 3D, 4D, 5D, some people use different like realms or realities. And it really, like, again, the labels don't really matter, but it's more of the understanding of like expansion into, for me, it's like into new dimensions of consciousness. And so I'm at the point now where I'm really merging them all together, which I consider New Earth, but that could be another video for another day. But we're really going through a big shift collectively from the old Earth energy into the new Earth energy. And it's really cool to know that love, unconditional love, the 5D energy, even if there's like 100,000, well, we can say 144,000 people, just throwing that number out, that are in that frequency of unconditional love. Yet there's, say, 1 billion people, or I don't know, 1 million people that are just completely in the 3D. I don't know. I'm throwing these numbers out. All I'm saying is there can be huge amounts of people that are completely asleep, if you will, and the smaller amount of people that are more awakened to like the truth of themselves and the connection to source and feeling that unconditional love. That unconditional love has so much more power than that denser 3D energy. And so we are very, very powerful, even if there's less people that are awakened, if you will. So it's not a matter, and I used to be like, everyone needs to awaken. That was a part of my 4D experience, like, exposing things about COVID and all of this stuff. It's like very, very in the rabbit hole of like, people need to wake up. It's like wanting to shake my mom, wanting to shake my family, like wanting to shake people and being like, you don't see it, you don't see the truth. I would post on social media and like be kind of like angry and upset. And that was me still. It was a part of the process, but that's not being fully conscious. Because when you're still judging other people for judging, or for anything, for making a choice that you wouldn't make, or for not seeing the things that you're seeing, that's something that also needs to be transcended in order to expand to the next level of like the new Earth frequency, which kind of is bringing all of them together in a very expanded way. So, like I said, there's different layers of awakening, and no matter where you are in your process, just know like there's other people right at that level with you, and it's not a matter of comparing yourself at all to anyone else on the process, especially putting people on pedestals. That's actually a lesson that I've really had to learn this year and last year, with different people, different influential people coming into my life and being like, oh, I won't do anything because you're a spiritual master and you've taught me things and you're better than me. And it's not like I said that out loud, like you're better than me, but it was something that I was consciously believing, and unconsciously, like all of me was believing that these people are better than me. And so that's another aspect, is like, we're all the same. No one is better than anyone else. And even if people are a little bit more aware of certain things that are going on, in the eyes of God, if you will, in the eyes of the universe, it doesn't, like, we're all the same. We're all on our own journey. And some people will never awaken. Never, 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 never in this lifetime. It's because they're not meant to. And some people have soul contracts that will bring them into a journey that you can look at and be like, ooh, wow, I would never choose that. But that's their path. And so when we are allowing ourselves to step away from judging, like that's the opposite of unconditional love, is judgment. When you're really judging, that's a frequency, that's an energy that can really pull you away from expanding your own consciousness. Because when you are judging other people, it's actually a reflection to look at where you're judging yourself. Because we can't see things in other people unless we have them within ourselves. Period. And this is big, and that's something that a lot of people will be like, wait, but what about this? What about that? When we are really accepting ourselves in a radically whole way, whew, we are dark people. But guess what? We're also really, 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 really light. We can be. It's like going down into the roots of a tree. How deep do they go? To the extent of the, ooh, my right side is tingling, masculine energy coming online here, talking about trees, gai shikayon, but I see gai, feeling very secure within yourself. Anyways, as far as the roots go down, is as high as the tree can grow. So that's a really great metaphor for expanding and for growing ourselves in our lifetimes and beyond our lifetimes. Is like, if you are allowing yourself to go into your darkness with pure acceptance and love, then you're going to be able to grow so big, so massively. But we can't just be in the light without going down with our roots, without grounding ourselves down with that deep acceptance. And the word reverence is also coming through, and sovereignty. These are all important for this spiritual journey, this spiritual path. And so, with all of that said, the journey of awakening is not easy. But one thing I would have loved is to have a community of people. I would have loved to have support. I would have loved to learn about what the hell is going on. Like, what's going on? And why am I seeing these things in the reality that are pissing me off? And how do I deal with this and that? And I was literally in on this on my own, besides listening to podcasts all the time and just having people in my ears, which was really helpful. But this is why I created my mastermind. It's called the Mystic Mastery Mastermind. And this is where a group of us come together, a small group come together, and we meet weekly for a few months. And we literally dive into expanding our consciousness, allowing our intuition to come online for it to lead the way. Having that support in a WhatsApp group throughout the week in between calls. And learning light language, shikayon, brusiki hu shikayon. I posted a new video today on my YouTube that was basically like a light language activation. So if you want to check that out, there was new light language coming through me today. And I'm feeling super activated. And this is exactly what we go into in the mastermind, where we really dive into how to actually speak your own light language and what I'm doing with my hands, how to use these movements in a way that is very activating for you and where you're not just feeling like you're crazy or like a gaga goo goo baby, like just in the psych ward kind of thing. That's another thing that happens when you're awakening is am I going insane? Am I going crazy? I actually felt like I needed to go to a psych ward at one point. But again, I didn't have that support to be no, you're awakening. You're awakening. A really great book to read is You're Not Dying, You're Waking Up, I think it's called, by Elizabeth April. Elizabeth April has been huge on my path as well, so she's a great one to look into. She has a YouTube channel. I'll link her below as well. She's incredible. Definitely helps you feel less alone. But with my mastermind, we actually start on the day I'm recording this, we start tomorrow, but I'm accepting people for about a week or so after we start, because I want to allow more people to come in that need this support, that want this support, that want to learn light language, that also want to learn tarot. Where are my tarot cards? That want to learn tarot, because this is something that we're going to be learning in there. And this is just a tool to really allow yourself to tap into your intuition through something physical. And it's just really, really fun. And that's how I kind of got my start on my spiritual business, which is another thing that we'll talk about, is bringing your gifts to life, bringing your gifts to the world to actually monetize your spiritual gifts. Imagine that, living a life where you do something that you love and you get paid for it. Like, this is what I've created for myself. And every day I wake up and I'm like, I'm excited. I really do. I mean, of course, there's ups and downs, and I'm going through different awakenings, and man, there's been some dark periods this year especially, but it's because I'm incorporating more of my radical wholeness, more of that darkness. And so speaking on this actually openly online has really attracted in my soul fam here on Instagram, now on YouTube, different platforms, on TikTok as well. And allowing yourself to actually fully express who you are, your gifts, bringing tarot to the world, your light language, maybe doing activations. That's another thing people buy from me, is personalized activations. So we can go into that, starting your own spiritual business, and really just developing your intuition to a place where you're not trying to manifest, but your life is one big manifestation because you're just a super attractor with the energy that you're carrying. And so we go into all of this in my mastermind, and I would absolutely love to have you. So this is your official invitation into this container that is going to be very transformative, not just for everyone joining, but for me too. And we're going to go through this together. We're going to really get to know each other again, have that support in between calls, so you don't have to feel alone wherever you are on your spiritual journey. Whether you are like, I have feel like these gifts are coming online, but I don't know how to use them, or I'm just awakening and I'm not really sure how to navigate this. I feel like I want to speak light language, but I'm not exactly sure if this is real, or if it's just gibberish. So there's a lot of different things that we'll go over in the mastermind. And once again, I'm inviting you in. If you have any questions, I'm going to leave my email below. So feel free to shoot me an email. I'll also leave the link so you can gain more information and sign up if you want. So I hope this video was helpful for you. It was actually really fun and interesting to go into how I kind of got to this place today where I'm actually selling my services based on my spiritual gifts. What a life! What a life. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm sending you so much love, all of the blessings, and I'll catch you next time.